finally got to make a change this week for injury-enforced reasons. Are you eyeing off for Rochelle's role?
I had to make one last week, unfortunately. It was exactly what we spoke about last week, wasn't it? Unfortunately, we're going to have injuries. There's not many teams, I'm not sure the stat, whether someone's gone through a season without an injury, but I wouldn't say there is. We've got our challenges now, but we've also got, that creates opportunity. With Josh's injury, it gives someone else an opportunity, and someone who deserves that opportunity, because we've had a squad at the moment that are in a pretty rare spot. They're playing some elite footy. A Samford team, there are guys in there that are playing their best footy of their careers and aren't in the AFL team and have played AFL previously. So they're ready to go. They're AFL ready. It's just where do we go with that?
Sid a bit more game time last week, of course, probably not under the best circumstances, but does he start this week?
Well, possibly. Again, it's a team decision for it. I thought he was great on the weekend, again. And he's taken to that role. So there's a part of it where we'll make the decision for the team, but also for him, because I think if he's performing well in it, it's not one that we need to change. But we'll have a look at that. Obviously, with Josh going out, it changes our 22 slightly. But again, I'm really pleased with, we're really pleased with where Sid's at, and we think he's developing really quickly. It's a good sign.
So how much do you weigh up the strength of Gold Coast midfield? Then you can bring in another midfield to combat that, like Sid forward, or what's the balance of that discussion?
Yeah, there are some great midfields in the competition, but this is probably the pick of them. And they're in some rare form. They have been now for, majority of last year. Raoul's playing his best footy. He does start the season really well when he's fresh. There's a reason he was such highly regarded selection in the draft. Anderson alongside him, Miller. It's never ending. So we've got our work cut out for us. We're confident our mids are playing some good footy at the moment that we'll take it to them, but we know that that's going to be a key area of the game.
Is Isaac ranking too good a midfielder now to see him play too much more of a time forward, or will he have to spend more time there now with Josh out?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We'd love to keep him around the footy. We'd love two of him, to be honest, another one forward, but I think he adds something. I think he complements the guys in and around the footy. I think and I mentioned it a number of times, but I think they're all making each other better. They're different players. Matt Crouch is a different player to Isaac Rankin, and the two of them together make quite a duo. And then Jordan Dawson and Saligo's game's gone to another level. So Peatling, I thought on the weekend, had his best game for us. Since arriving, he was really clean with the footy, and he impacted the game. So as you asked, yes, we're going to need a lot of guys through that midfield. Because the challenge doesn't get much bigger than what we get this week.
What has the messaging been to those guys that are in career best form but aren't able to get a game at the moment because of your depth?
Yeah. Just honest conversations around where we're at as a team, and I think when they see the group performing to the level they are, I think there's an understanding there that, okay, I don't have possession of the spot at the moment and I've got work to do. And so those guys, to their credit, are taking their games to another level, be it at SANFL level, but they're ready, and that's what we're after. We're after a squad that are AFL ready. So when they're called upon, which we'll have to this weekend with one, we know they're ready to step up to that higher speed.
Dan Kurtz, is his shoulder all right, Dan Kurtz?
Yeah, he'll train today just to confirm, but I think he pulled up quite well.
Yeah.
Do you believe in the tagging role, and if so, do you think in your current team you have got someone?
Can you stop Rao? What about Anderson? Miller? Or just
tagging's probably come more back into vogue the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, a tagging or a cooler or someone, a little bit more, maybe accountability towards a player, like we're coming up against. It's tough because you're trying to balance that with your team defence, and it can pull you apart. But I think there's still a place for it in the game. And we've got a number of guys, and we work through pre-season in that area on who could possibly do this for us if required. It doesn't mean that it's going to work every time. Some of these players are quite hard to stop.
Is there place for it this week then, or do you think, their talent's so diverse across their whole squad that a tag might speak?
Depending on how the game plays out, depending on where the game's at and the momentum of the game and whether we feel like the game's on our terms or theirs. It could be the game's on our terms and one of their players has had a huge impact from a stats point of view. 20 possessions at half time, but we're leading the contest. Are we going to change and tag in that instance? Probably not. But if it is that the 20 possessions are really impacting the game and the scoreboard, then it's something we'll look at.
Touch on Sid earlier. Could his progression into whenever he's playing 4 quarters of AFL footy have gone any more perfectly? Obviously, first 2 weeks you were able to manage Isaac and Tex, and then last week, while you wouldn't have wanted Rash to get injured, the fact that you're able to get Sid on for more than 2 quarters.
It's always the grey area with the sub is when are they going to impact, and the weekend we'd love to not have that one play out, but there's an understanding it does. The first couple of weeks, there's a risk with bringing him in too early, but we would love to have got him in just after half time, to give him enough of an opportunity to impact the game. But I think that's balanced out really well for him over the first 3 rounds. It's been probably a perfect lead-in for a young player who we know is an important part of where we're going.
Does the first Tex rest possibly come up in the next fortnight with your short turnaround? Yeah,
we go a 6-day break into a 5-day break, and that's an ongoing conversation that Tex and I are having daily. He won't do a lot today, so that'll get you guys talking. But it's one. There's a reality to it, but then there's also a momentum piece where don't flirt with that. We know how tough it is to play the footy we have been, right throughout the year, and we want to make sure we stick with that. But we've also got a really sharp turnaround into the next round. But as we've done, we're focused on Gold Coast at the moment. So I'd love to have him, take him up there and play the next one and the next one. But we'll see how we go.
Is that such big games next year? Is that the plan to try and have Tex play both at this stage?
Our personal opinion as a group is that Tex makes us a more balanced footy team, and we feel like we perform better. Just the way he helps a Darcy Fogarty and the way he helps if it is a Sid Draper that's playing forward of the ball. There's an experience there that he brings and an aura. He takes the toughest defender more often than not. Riley Thilthorpe's playing great footy at the moment, and there's no doubt that Tex has an effect on that. We'd love him there every week. But he's got to be able to perform at a level that makes us better. So we're just trying to balance that.
The loss up there, similar time last year, is a really tough loss. What have you learned from that?
Well, last year was really early, and we got a few things wrong that day, which I think we took away from that and probably learnt throughout the year. Through last year, we got a lot of things right off the back of that. We know what Gold Coast bring. That's where we feel confident going up this week. It's not easy to stop it though. So it's one thing to know what they do really well. They got a super experienced coach who just knows success. He's experienced it. He's been through it, and so you can see what he's trying to build up there, and he's doing an amazing job of that. Their style of footy is a really hard one to play against, but it can be beaten. You just got to bring it on the day.
Do you feel like you're both in similar positions? As far as that improving and on the way up?
I think we're fighting for the same thing. I mean, every team in the competition is, and at the moment this is a really huge game. They're tough to beat up there. They're really tough to beat at home, and they showed last week that they've found another part to their game as well. They've found how to win on the road. So it's quite a scary task to go into, but a good one. Our guys are really looking forward to.
How much confidence do you take out of your road and hoodoo breaking win a couple of weeks ago, going up, this time to a ground that you obviously didn't have that recent success in?
Yeah, the confidence we take is about the consistency. We know we can do it anywhere. The key is turning up and knowing that the challenges just get harder and harder. The more teams are able to study what you're doing, the more that you're challenged in different spaces, and then this week there's no doubt we're playing a team that are in good form.
How do you handle the humidity? Do you wet the footies and see training in the middle of the day today? Is that we try and replicate conditions before you go?
Yeah, little things like that. Train when we can. It's not quite as humid here in Adelaide. It's a little drier. Everyone's drying out, but It's an earlier game, so the humidity, I can't know weather expert, but we've had a look at, there's a chance of rain. So yeah, we won't do a lot today with soapy balls or anything like that, but we'll have an understanding of what we need in that occasion. Last time we played them, it was wet and we didn't get that right, so we'll make sure we get that right.
Feels like as a club you've all been on the same page from pre-season to go 1 week at a time. Do you, with the increased hype, with increased talk about finals and flags and all those sorts of things, is it a weekly thing that you address, keeping a lid on things and keeping that focus narrow, or do you feel like the squad now is all on the same page and it doesn't need to be brought up?
Yeah, we don't even touch on it. It's nothing. We've got a process that we go through every week. There's a structure to what we do. We come in and we review and we look at ways that we want to improve. We reward the stuff we love, the things that we value, and then we click our way into the next year. And I walk in here and we have a chat, and then we go and train. And it's you sort of get yourself in this routine where you don't need to. You don't have time to really think about the bigger picture. I think that's where we sit at the moment. And maybe as you get challenged a bit more, things you find it tougher in that space. But at the moment, we're week to week. Let's go. What's next? How do we get better again? And we know we have to get better.
Is that a blessing in disguise, really, that you just don't actually have the time to think that far ahead?
Yeah, we've got a 9-day break coming up in 3 weeks, but yeah, let's make sure we get that week right. Yeah, we are sharp at the moment from one to the next. But it's a credit to our playing group. They're maturing. It's the most pleasing part of our development is they're running a lot of what we're doing at the moment. And when they have when they're empowered and they feel like they've got responsibility, they take their game to another level.
We talked about your fit list coming into this season.
Healthy list?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was half your team that had to go off and play State of Origin next March or the March after. How would you as a coach feel about that?
Yeah, I love State of Origin. I love the concept of it. I love the idea of it. Other sports, it's obviously huge. It's a stepping stone to play for your country. In other sports, it's a little different, but it's one of those ones that I'd embrace, but it'd be an interesting one come mid-season when you've got a healthy list and you don't want to take too many risks. I mean, the Indigenous round I loved, to start this year, and I thought it was huge just to watch some of the way they went about it, the footy they play, the talent. It was awesome to watch. Was I a little bit nervous with Isaac running around? Yeah, I was. But he did a great job.
So it's a timing issue as much as anything, do you think? If it was at the end of the season, would that be more, would clubs be more willing, do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the answer. All I know is I can see why there's an interest in it, and I understand the interest. As a kid, I went and watched South Australia play Victoria out here, actually, and it was the next level of footy. It was such a high standard, and it was hard, and so I don't know. I'm not sure where they fit it in.
Would Burgett have a stronger opinion, do you think? Would Burgett?
I'm not sure. I can't answer that one for him.
Last couple of guys.
I was asked about the Ryan Mansell tribunal case and the outcome of that. The AFL obviously sent a memo around before the season starts. Do you reinforce that now this week about pushing and marking contests and that sort of thing, or do you just...
We haven't gone there this week, to be honest. We did go through that though, and watched a number of examples and what's acceptable and what's not, and the duty of care. I think there's always a duty of care. Like, we're trying to play on the edge. The speed of the game is incredibly fast, so some of the decisions that are made occasionally they're not intentional, and sometimes they are, and we like to think we play fair in that space. But we didn't touch on that at all. We didn't feel we needed to this week.
Just generally speaking, as it swung too far in effect rather than cause, if that makes sense?
No, I think I know what we're doing. As a league, we're in the right space with a lot of the things we're trying to do, and it's cleaning up the game and playing fair and looking after first and foremost health and safety of players. So I agree with that. It's just where's the balance.